But the gunboats have been redesigned for the new update, just to kind of we now can support like walking around on decks and all that fun stuff. So it's time that they needed to get redesigned. It's fairly similar to the existing gunboats, but the big cool new thing is tripod mounts. When we pitched this and we're talking about this, we wanted like half tracks of the sea where this is where you're mounting tripods onto, or the tripod weapons onto, and yeah, overall just a awesome new design. Cool. So the Colonials, we wanted. They also had a gunboat, so they have to have another gunboat. But this one we themed it more around like a river boat, patrol boat, and otherwise it is fairly similar in terms of like this is the vehicle for tripods, this is for tripod weapons, this is the vehicle with a light mortar cannon in this case, and it's a fast little patrol boat. Okay, Warden Battleship. When we started this and designing battleships, one of the big things I wanted was for them not to feel like little chibi toy boats. Like I really pushed to make them as big as possible, with as many guns on deck as possible, without it feeling cartoonish. So I dove into that, and for the wardens, we kind of wanted the warden theme in general is just everything's a little bit older looking than the colonial stuff, and we kept to that with the boats. Onto the battleship. The battleships, we were going for a as big as we could get, as big as we could make them. We wanted them to be impressive. We wanted you to see all the sensors, the rangefinders, everything you would expect out of an actual battleship fitting into the Foxhole world. And I want to point out, with the crew of 12 plus deck crew, that's just the seats. You'll need people running ammunition for you. You'll need people like doing everything else on the boat. But you need, if you want a fully manned ship, this one is 12. Submarine. The wardens, we wanted them to get a submarine, and this was extremely challenging to get working right. Lots of meetings, as well as just the overall feel. But we really feel like we have captured the player experience of driving a submarine. Cool. And opposite to the submarine, the Colonials have a destroyer, which is very well equipped to fight submarines. It will also have the sonar suite. You'll be able to hear and intercept pings from submarines. The depth charge launchers on the side, as well as being able to drop sea mines out behind you as you go. This thing is it literally purpose built for hunting submarines.
There is both private functions, so more private groups have a role in controlling these ships, but they're also 100% intended to be shared with everyone. Everyone can participate in the fun. You're going to lose your ship, right? So here's an example, and we're going to dive a lot deeper as we get into each type of ship. But at a high level, here's some of the roles and systems if you want to ensure that you're effective in combat. You have to have soldiers moving your ammo around.
I
Can you,
just figured movement would be better. Do you want to reverse both engines and we'll try and go towards them?
We might want to, if we're, I mean, we're a battleship. We should be able to beat the hell out of them, right?
I mean, you want to just go for broadside? Let's double reverse engines. I'll just hold forward. Reverse both engines, please.
Players have to, if you want to pilot your ship effectively, you have to manage the engine room.
Engines can actually be manually adjusted forward or reverse in order to quickly change directions. By using a wrench, players can adjust either the port or starboard engines to full reverse, full forward, or have one forward and one reverse in order to help make quick turns with the ship. Without an engine crew, battleships have a painfully slow turning radius that nearly took us out of Hex when just trying to do a simple circle.
Fine.
Yeah, there is a.
So you can say
To be absolutely clear, there is a room in the below decks that has bunk beds in it. That's a barracks where you can set your spawn. Everybody should go and set their spawn in the barracks.
If you do unfortunately die while on the ship, you will now see a new ship spawn option in the spawn menu.
Well, it says inventory full though. We should try to load it.
Yeah, I'm in it now. I'll reload it. Give me a second. Or yeah, start loading me up. You're putting 150s in this thing?
Yeah, totally. I was totally putting 150s and not 120. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, you're good. You're good. You're loaded. Put 2 more in there so you
Yeah.
can get a reload.
I know. Why weren't you guys loading the right ammo?
I just watched their hatch open.
Fuck it.
Ow.
Give me an angle. I got the MG.
Floating 2 dev submarines.
Okay.
oh wow.
Oh god, 2v1.
So until we get a ping, let's chill where we are until we get a ping.
Well, if it's moving, so we want to get it. It's
Or
close. And it's
south.
right
I'm
next
going
to us.
south. Yep, I'm
Hey,
going south.
We're about to run right over it. So put.
Oh, right, yeah,
Oh
right
yeah,
to our
left. Oh yeah, there it is.
Come on,
There it is.
Resurface,
Hey, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Get him! Guns, guns, guns!
Shoot it.
He's backing up. Yo, good depth charge. Do it 0 meters. 0 meters.
Left engine reverse. Left engine
Good
reverse,
hits, good
please.
hits.
There are a number of large artillery cannons that are built on these ships. We've given them a direct fire mode so that you can fire them directly at the enemy ship, or you can switch them to their bombardment, similar to what you guys would be used to with the artillery cannons. They will be more accurate. And the expectation here is that you're not necessarily always going to be fighting each other within range, within like close quarters, like you saw in that video. You might be shooting at each other over a long distance.
Might.
But if you do get in close, we have the support weapons we have like some more traditional support weapons like 40 millimeter, the 30 millimeter cannons, machine guns, tripod mounts. Sorry.
Position, which puts you in a sonar view. Here you will have 2 separate modes: long-range directional sonar, which pings up to 500 meters, and short-range omnidirectional sonar, which pings to 50 meters. When you do ping, you'll receive a strength reading, with 1 being weak and 100 being strong. And the stronger the signal, the closer the object is to you. If the signal's too weak, you may just see an unknown depth, but if it's strong enough, you will see the depth pop up, and if it's also close enough, you can actually see the silhouette or outline of the ship in this eerie sonar view. This sensor operator is of course useful for finding and killing submarines, but also other ships, and the destroyer crew should be constantly scanning with sonar, in addition to looking out with the usual driver and spotter seats. Now, taken out for a spin, the sonar was really fun to use, but also very difficult.
And there's other parts of the ship too. So we wanted these ships to feel like really immersive and tactile spaces. So for example, we have ladders you can use to navigate. The doors function, you can open and close them. They have additional functionality that we'll talk about later. There's stairs, and there's the automated defenses.
There's also a third type of gun that you can't get in, which is an AI gun. These will not target enemy combat ships, rather they will attack civilian ships like motorboats
What happens when your boat gets hit?
The ships can take, or can when they get shot, will create leaks. These are like little breaches in the side of the ship. Where you shoot the ship is where the leak will form. So you want to be strategic about where you're putting the holes in the enemy ship. You'll want to try to aim for all of the, like, from the front to the back of the ship. You'll want to get like a nice even spread across the entire length of the ship. The better you are at doing this, the more effective you're going to be at shutting down the enemy's crew members and their systems. Aboard the ship, you're going to want to repair the leaks on a matter of priority. You're not necessarily going to just go down the line fixing all the leaks. The leaks are going to be prioritized based on how much damage they're causing to you. For example, you could cause a leak that's below the waterline and a leak that is above the waterline. A leak that is below the waterline could be adding more water to your, or could be adding water to your ship, whereas one that's above the waterline might not yet be adding water to your ship. So as the ship is taking on water, the ship is going to start to sink lower and lower into the water, which is going to make those leaks that are higher up start to sink into the water, which is going to expedite how quickly these ships can sink. So, which brings us to that last point, that the water inside the ship will actually shift the weight of the ship. So if the front is taking on a ton of water and you've maybe sealed the bulkhead doors to prevent it from spreading to other parts of the ship, the front of your ship is, sorry, the bow of your ship is going to start to sink into the water, and it's going to make more of the front facing leaks dip further into the water.
So besides repairing the leaks, Max, what are the other ways you can do to try to manage flooding in your compartments?
So as you're taking on water, you're going to want to bail out water, which we have the all too popular water bucket. Players are going to be able to go walk down into the lower decks and bail out water physically and moving it up onto the deck and throwing it overboard. This will be a way to slow down the amount of water that's being taken in while your teammates are busy repairing it. And this really leans heavily into that, what we were saying before, is that even if you have a group of players that you trust and you want on board your ship, you're going to want to open your ship up to as many people as possible, because the more people you have, the more of these systems you can keep afloat. No pun intended. So another big question on your minds is probably, how do you build these things? You can build them at a new facility called the Facility Dry Dock. It is a dry dock in true form. You will drive your ship directly into the bay, and then you will raise the doors, and then it will drain the water, which will allow you to repair these ships as well as build them. The dry dock will require shippable materials. So these are not like your assembly materials that you guys are used to. They are full shippables that have to be moved by train to produce the ship. And there's going to be a new resource called Rare Allies, which we will get into more detail on the subreddit Q&A after the stream. But to suffice to say, it's introduced for new late game content, and it's found by Mining Salvage and these offshore platforms. Not oil platforms, offshore platforms.
So there's the parts that are needed to produce the ship parts, or these are the parts needed to produce ships. Let's.
And these are the shippables.
Talk about the offshore platforms.
Long-time players might have feelings about this.
Yeah. So it is really important for us to, again, reiterate that main goal, which is that we don't want this content to be locked to just a small subset of players, and that includes producing them. Offshore platforms and this rare material are all meant to help address that problem. So if you are a smaller player group and you're worried that you might never get a chance to build one of these things, rest assured that's one of our main drivers behind these offshore platforms. You'll be able to build them by out at sea. It'll consume coke to keep it powered, and then it will produce heavy oil as well as a chance of producing rare alloys. They are at sea, which means you can't just build a wall around it to claim it. So that's a really important distinction between perhaps some of the other resources that we have in the game. And you'll have to actively work at it. So this is not something that you can just set and forget. You can't just build a platform and then keep everybody away from it and you'll just get everything out of it for a couple of days. You're going to have to continuously operate it, which is going to give the enemy a chance to counter you, to come in and destroy it or destroy your logistics that's running it. And you'll have to prepare for these operations. You'll have to come gather your materials, and before you even set sail to try to operate one of these, you'll want to have to do a bunch of prep work to begin with.